switch purchasing. Okay, so what we're asking here is, what is better? All right. So, first thing you need to do is how many ports. You already done that. How many ports? Okay. You have more ports. More ports is going to cost you more money. And then what speed? And of course, faster equals more money. This is pretty obvious stuff, right? Okay. Just one thing to add, especially with the ports, usually you need to have, we'll just say about 20 to 30% to, what do you say, one to grow on? You guys remember that when you, for future use, right? So when we made our thing here, where was ours? This is getting to be a big old mess, isn't it? So we did our thing here, and we had 85 people out here, and then we got, what did we get, 96 here. And I said, yeah, 85, 96, that's, no. You probably ought to go. I mean, you need at least 20% more. So that puts us already over 100. And so I would go ahead and I would probably have bought something bigger, 264s maybe. Just a little to grow on, just to see what's going on. Because, like I said, once we get done with these two and we have to buy that other server or that other switch, you're either going to have to run another patch cable or you're going to have to pull one of these out and put a new one in. And so you just want to, you're just trying to be careful with your money about, reinvesting. I mean, the worst thing you can have to do is pull one out and put a new one in. You'd want to just be able to add as you go. Okay, so ports. Get a few, 20 to 30% to grow on. Yeah, okay. We'll put one other comment just about the ports too. No, we'll do that in a minute. All right, next up. In the specs, you're going to have what's called the aggregate throughput. And this is kind of a fun thing. Let's just imagine we had a 4-port switch. All right? And what it does is it receives, so we got input over here and then output over here. And we were used to this, right? We had sort of the input stuff. This comes in on the yellow or the orange wires. And then the output goes out on the green wires. Y'all remember this stuff, right? So we come in on one set of wires and we go out on another set. Well, in the middle is a switching matrix. So inside here we have to be able to connect, let's say, port 1 with port 3. And this is, our computer equivalent of Mabel passing the frames to where they need to go, right? And we want to be able to do this, you guys remember simultaneous conversations, right? If we can have, oops, where's that going to go? That goes over to 4, sorry. And 4 goes to 1. If we can have all 4 sending and receiving at the same time, then we are what's called wire speed. Okay? That's the full speed, meaning our switching matrix can switch or forward frames as fast as they can come in. You guys cool here? So as fast as we receive frames, we can send them out, just as fast as they'll go. Right? What do I care about here? It's also called non-blocking. No one ever says non-blocking, though. It's possible to have less than non-blocking. So less than wire speed is workable. But here's how it goes. When someone gets a review unit, even if they're doing like the switches that are 500 ports, the reviewers will plug in 500 Oops, reviewer. So the reviewers are going to plug in 500, their little test bench, and say, what, can I send on all 500 and receive on all 500 at wire speed? That's one of the first things they check. What other kinds of reviews do we do?
We've got 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, almost. I'll just finish right here. You guys, like when they review a camera, they'll be like, how many gigapixels is it? Yeah. And, you know, what are the little dots on it? This is the equivalent for a switch reviewer. They'll say, is it non-blocking? So there was a while back I was reading, and then someone was doing a 100 gig switch. So they did a 100 gigabit switch, and it was one of these huge switches, and we'll talk about those next class. And they did it, and it was about 95% of wire speed. And at the time, there was no other 100 gigabit switch in the world. And so the review was something like, look, if you want to buy a switch that is only 95% of wire speed, go ahead and get this one. Sure, it's the only 100 gigabit switch on the market right now, but again, you got to be able to accept less than 100% wire speed. And so pretty much it's funny, if a 4-port office switch will be wire speed. 24-port switch, like that one we just saw, wire speed. Every switch is going to be wire speed. Even though, I mean, it's okay to have non-blocking, because if you think about, like right here, remember our trunk lines are 10 times the capacity of these switches, and so we were only expecting 10 people to talk at once. So that really only means this switch should only be at about 10 to 20% non-blocking, because we're only expecting it to handle 10 times its capacity at any given time. But again, you're just not going to find that. So that was fun. What do we got? So I'll just note here. So work group, at 20% would be okay. For a core switch, you obviously want more. You want 80+% for core. Oop. I'll just write that there, because we're going to be done, because he told me to be done.